Van Jones is a liberal throwing down wisdom. Luckily, no other liberals are listening to him. Welcome to John Mike Keene.
Men are hurting, man. Men are hurting. And the feminist culture tells you, don't cry because you're the problem anyway.
Everything he says here is true about feminist culture, telling men that you're the problem, and the general hatred coming off of the Democrat Party as they lick their wounds and try and figure out what went wrong. Luckily, none of the other liberals are having it. Here's Mark Halperin.
That one of the problems the Democratic Party has is that they think the people who voted for Donald Trump or supported Donald Trump are bad people, representative of what I think continues to be a grappling by the Democratic Party at all levels and the anti-Trump Republican Party, the never-Trumpers, to accept what happened, to try to understand it. You haven't seen a widespread recognition that if you call the voters who aren't for you, if you call them bad people or Nazis or evil, chances are you're not going to have much of a prospect of getting their vote.
We've been studying the Democrats and how their political party is more like a religious movement, and they're having a hard time giving up that religion of hatred against the Republican Party. It's very difficult to do.
You can't talk about anything. So at least Donald Trump lets you have an emotion besides shame. And so, guys, we can sit up here all day long and do this talking point gumbo stuff that we do. You guys are going to be in trouble next. Because until somebody fixes these problems for real people, there is a rebellion in this country.
His warning is to the Republicans around the table that we could be next if we don't do something about the suffering of men. I agree, but I think Trump's going to do great for men. We're in a much better position to help normal people, normal families.
Winning the midterms cost us because it gave a false sense of confidence to Joe Biden and to a lot of D.C. Democrats. Most people in the party didn't feel that way. People were shocked that Biden wanted to run again and disappointed, and the polls showed it immediately. It wasn't like there was some big mystery about that.
The reason why the Democrats did not respond to their own negative polls of Biden running again, I believe, is purely because the media provided so much cover. They went to such a giant avalanche in support of Biden because they were just paranoid that no one had a chance to say no. Same with when they replaced Kamala Harris. They went straight to the joy win-win-win campaign. So reality never set in. The voters on the liberal side never got to have a say.
You're very confident in President Trump, and I appreciate your confidence. I got people who are literally terrified because people take the things that he says seriously when he says he's coming after folks. Every one of the people who just mentioned are people who are hiring lawyers, people who are thinking about leaving the country. And so if he didn't mean it, then I wish he would come out and say that.
Trump obviously doesn't mean everything that he says at who he's going to go after. But the left, we know who they were going to go after. The reason why Democrats believe that Trump is going after them is because that's what the media ran with, that he's a fascist, he's never going to leave office, he's going to prosecute his opponents. And even though we all saw the left say the same thing and do the same thing against Trump, the reason why the left is still stuck on this is because the media went nuts on Trump is going to get you, Trump is going to get you. I still blame the media.
And there's also been reporting, he didn't go after Hillary Clinton, but there's been reporting that he did go after John Kerry, and he was being restrained. So just understand there is a level of concern on this side.
The concern on your side was totally invented by media. Trump never actually went after John Kerry. He's saying Trump was restrained. No, there's no proof that shows that Trump has ever once gone after an opponent since 2016, including claiming that Hillary should be in jail and he was going to lock her up, and he didn't throw her in jail and he didn't lock her up. But the press didn't spread that Trump doesn't go after his opponents. No, the press and the media gave us the last 8 years of Trump's going to get you, Trump's going to get you. And now your side of the party, the Democrats, are horrified. Blame your media.
There's a reckoning inside the Democratic Party. Kamala Harris promised us freedom. Well, she delivered it to us because now we're free from having to run anything in Washington, D.C. And I hope the party takes a chance to look at the fact that we pushed all our rebels out of this party. We had a rebellion in our party in 2016. It was called Bernie Sanders. You had a rebellion in your party in 2016. It was called Donald Trump. Your rebel won. Our rebel lost.
We embraced our outsider and brought him into the mainstream of the party. And now that mainstream guy brought in all of our other outliers. We expanded our party greatly, and the Democrats divided themselves, and that's made them so easy to conquer.
And then since then, the rebels in our party have been pushed out. RFK was a rebel inside of our party. He wanted to run against Joe Biden fair and square. The DNC wouldn't let him, pushed him out.
The Democrat Party is not for democracy or votes. They undermined RFK Jr.'s campaign without a single vote.
You can walk down the list. Don't forget, Elon Musk was a Andrew Yang Democrat 4 years ago. He's out. You can walk down the list. Joe Rogan was very favorable toward Michelle Obama. He was a Bernie guy. He's out. So there's something that's happened in this party where the rebels in this party no longer feel like they have a place.
And I've been covering these guys now for 4 years on video. I hope you guys appreciate our coverage, both this channel and the Doug TenNapel channel. We have been covering this, all of these characters, all these people they're bringing up that ended up influencing this entire race. Notice, not vote machines. It's these people. We've been on it. We've been talking to the movers and shakers, and about the movers and shakers that they're bringing up. This is what happened with the election. And I'm very proud of our coverage, that I'm not leading you off down some weirdo conspiracy.
I hate all these people, the anti-woke, the anti-this, the anti-that, but you got to look in the mirror at a certain point. We've had 5 movements in a row in our party that rely on dehumanizing binaries, where you're putting down some people to lift somebody else up.
Their attack on the normal family, putting down binaries. The Democrats didn't just support the alternative family structure, they had to demonize the normies. That's a big problem with their side, and we must never do this.
I love all our movements, but there's a moral flaw when every movement's got to put somebody down. Black Lives Matter, all white people are racist.
He said it. Black Lives Matter claimed that all white people are racist. How many liberal blacks have said that as a condemnation? Now watch, this lady, liberal lady sitting next to him, is not going to have any of it. She's furious that he said that.
That is not going to work.
Oh,
no, hold on a second.
She goes, oh, Van, why would you say that? So she represents the past for the Democrat Party. That's why they're not going to learn. Van Jones might be the only one saying something smart. I'm super impressed with him, is why I'm doing a video on this. When I hear his voice, I think he's the only one. I'm kind of glad he's the only one, because I don't want the Democrat Party to ever win again.
That is in fact a part of the ideology that subconsciously there's unconscious bias, and the way that lands though for people is you're calling them names. There's got to be a better way to say it.
Is they don't just embrace one oddball stance, they have to demonize the opposite of that stance. And because progressives end up taking on very odd opinions and outlier and minority opinions, they end up attacking the mainstream, the majority. And that's where the majority started feeling a little too much weirdo edge stuff are gaining power over us and getting us fired and throwing us in prison.
You look at Bernie. I love Bernie. All billionaires are evil. Everybody, 99% is a victim. Oprah Winfrey's a billionaire. She's not evil.
And that goes into even their own side when they try and demonize billionaires. They didn't demonize their billionaires. They didn't demonize George Soros, Oprah Winfrey, all their actors, Robert De Niro, the cast of The View. Their billionaires did just fine. The Clintons, the Obamas.
You look at the climate movement. Traditional energy is evil, including poor, sick coal miners. Environmentalists can throw ketchup on the Mona Lisa and their heroes. That doesn't work.
They went into art museums and threw tomato soup on the Mona Lisa, on masterpieces. Of course, they're covered with glass. That kind of branding cut against the Democrats so bad, as they were trying to present themselves as normies. And they're doing all this incredibly abnormal stuff with the drag queen story hour. They were cramming it in everyone's faces that of course they're going to lose. This is the biggest cultural war moment in the last 4 years. And boy, did they overplay a weak hand so many times. That's why Trump came back and said, look, I'm here for everyone. I'm here for the working class. I'm here to help everyone.
Look at Me Too. Look at now, if you're Jewish, you're a colonizer. If you're if you're for the Palestinians, you can do whatever you want to. These things are landing very poorly because it's not Dr. King.
Oh, yeah. And we've quoted Dr. King a lot. They're very far off from Dr. King. In fact, Dr. Martin Luther King's voice, I hear it all the time from the right. I think we're actually the compassionate side. It's actually the liberals that are not compassionate. They hate their opponents. Dr. King was living in a world where racism was pretty big, and he knew he had to appeal to even the racist's conscience. And he brings up his children, saying, my children have a dream that they'll be judged by the content of their character and the color of their sin. I think children, and thinking about Black children, had a huge move on the racists of his time for a future. That's a big difference. His messaging was right. The Democrat Party is psychotic.
Progressives are at our best when we're saying we want dignity for everybody. We want to free the jailed and the jailers. We want to free the people who have been oppressors and the people who have been oppressed. We want to free everybody. When you stand for everyone's dignity, everybody's humanity, the whole world stands with you. When you do these dehumanizing binaries, even though we're well-intentioned, it lands poorly.
That is so wise, guys. And it's actually very Christian, very biblical, to love your enemies. You can hear it in his voice. He's so smart. And the rest of those people, those Democrats on that panel, are so dumb. They're going to be left behind. I think the message that he's saying is one of the hardest things for anyone to really embrace, to stop hating your enemy, to start looking for better ways to communicate. They're not going to have it. The Democrat Party doesn't have any of Martin Luther King's empathy, true love for the other side. That's all gone. So they're going to keep losing. Here's ALX on Twitter breaking. Mark Zuckerberg's Meta donates $1 million to Trump's inauguration fund. Even Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook has the wisdom to see where the wind's blowing. I'm John Mike Keene.